Hello and welcome to section 29 of the Grand Tour Northumberland. Today we're going to visit a waterfall, hopefully we'll visit a castle, and we're going to visit lots of hill forts, and we're going to be talking about two historical characters. So join me for section 29 of the Grand Tour Northumberland.
Digging through a closet, walled cities, past lives and boxes. Absorbed till it seeped from my skin. Can't stand to hear it. Means more to me than photographs. Pictures of backyard and northern sunsets are all that exist in my mind. Especially the lines and daytime sprinklers, spider webs on a grey wooden fence. I remember the comedian.
So we're starting at Hethpool again, and this time we're heading in the opposite direction to last time. So we're heading in this direction, and our first goal is along there to a waterfall, and we're going to climb a couple of these hills over there to see some hill forts. And we're heading that way. So before we get to that gate, we're actually going to cross into this field. I'm going to head along this direction instead. So there's a hill fort on top of that hill, and I was going to go and see it, but I changed the route last minute. However, don't worry, we're going to be seeing about half a dozen hill forts on this route. This section is quite long, it's about 14 miles, and it's quite like the paths are quite clear, but there's a lot of up and downs, so it is quite strenuous, this walk. It's not a tall waterfall, but it's still very impressive. This is the College Burn, and it's being forced through this very narrow channel in the rocks. That's a lovely deep pool, that. There's an old abandoned housestead up there. You want to be on the left hand side of it. Think of its way goes on the right hand side of it. But we're going on this little tiny path. And it's like a little gate over there that we're aiming for. That looks like a toppled standing stone. Could well be. We are going to see a standing stone on this journey of ours today. I'm sure you picked this up on the camera, but this looks like an outer wall almost going around the hill. It goes across like that, nearly to the top. It's very steep. I'm really surprised how steep this is. So this is what we've come to see. This is the outer wall of an Iron Age hill fort. Let's go to the summit and the inner wall. So now we've got the inner wall. And this is the top. This is West Hill Hill Fort, and it dates from the late Iron Age, Romano-Britain. And within the circle, there was 14 roundhouses found. For a little hill, it's got really nice views. Next, we're headed to that hill fort over there. Well, we're at the top of this hill. Gives you an idea of the colour of the rocks. Very pink. I'm not sure that the camera is going to do this justice, but you can clearly see the wall when you're here. I'll pop a satellite image of the place as well, where you can really see the fort clearly. Everyone loves stepping stones. So here's the outer wall. There's an inner wall as well. It's not as well defined as some of the other ones we've been on. It's actually more of a roundhouse, that one. This one here is a very clear roundhouse, probably the clearest we've seen so far. Those walls are quite high, up to my waist. It's always cool to be sitting in someone's house which is over 2,000 years old. So this is St. Gregory Hill Fort. Again, it's Iron Age Romano-Britain. And in this one they found 12 roundhouses. And this one here is where I am now. It's very well preserved. It's very good. Again, magnificent views. Almost the same as the hill next to it though. Now we're heading down that way and then down towards Kirknewton. Two very large cairns here. Honestly, I have no idea anything about these, but to me they look like burial cairns. There's a field you don't want to cross in a hurry. Cows with calves. Glad we're on this side of the wall. It's starting to get very windy. That's the small village of Kirknewton, and we're heading towards the church, the kirk. This is Kirknewton's War Memorial to the First World War. So we're going to go into the kirk of Kirknewton. Should I get? Been a church on this site since the 11th century. Current church dates from the 15th century and was restored in 1860. Not sure if we can go in or not. Very nice church. The church is dedicated to St. Gregory. St. Gregory was Pope Gregory I, who sent Paulinus to Northumberland to convert the Northumbrians to Christianity. The church at Kirknewton is the final resting place of Josephine Butler. Josephine Butler, 1828 to 1906. This is her final resting place. Josephine Butler was one of the leading social reformers and feminists of the 19th century. Butler led the campaign against the Contagious Disease Act, which forced medical examination on prostitutes to protect the British Armed Services. While heading this campaign, Butler became aware of child prostitution and child sex slavery. With the help from the Pall Mall Gazette editor William Thomas Stead, who purchased a 13-year-old girl for £5 from her mother, she managed to get the age of consent raised from 13 to 16, thus making child prostitution illegal in Britain. Stead, however, was arrested and imprisoned for 3 months for the purchase of the child. Butler was very influential in liberal feminism and helped influence the suffragette movement. She moved to Wooler in 1903 but died in 1906. These white graves are for the pilots who died in plane crashes in the Gileads. As we leave Kirknewton, we're going to head down this cul-de-sac by the telephone box. See this raised embankment here, and it goes through, continues along that way, kind of bends around. That's the old railway. There used to be a railway station at Kirknewton. Unfortunately, I can't remember when it shut, so I'll put it down below. Leave a track here, follow this footpath sign. There's a bridge over there which we're heading for. Looking back towards Kirknewton, we climbed that hill and we climbed that hill. This is the River Glen, where the Roman missionary and first Bishop of York, Paulinus, spent 36 days baptising many Northumbrians after converting King Edward to Christianity. He also baptised St Hilda of Whitby, although I'm not sure if he baptised her here or if he baptised her somewhere else, but there's a good chance that she was baptised here. The mouth of the River Glen is where King Arthur was supposed to have had his very first battle. There's the memorial to the Davidsons on the top of the hill. If you're feeling energetic, you could pop up and have a look, but keep in mind on this section you still got to climb this one here, which is Yeavering Bell, and the ones behind it. It's raining. It's quite heavy actually. They're a lot bigger than what they're showing on the camera. This is a private residence. This here is Coupland Castle. It was originally a tower house built in the late 16th century by the Wallace family. It was restored in the 19th century by Thomas Bates. It's famous for being the former home of Challoner Ogle, and I am trespassing to see it, so I'm going to make tracks back to the road. Ogle was an officer in the Royal Navy who was given command of the sloop HMS San Antonio, which was captured from the pirate Captain William Kidd in 1703. He was later given command of HMS Swallow, on which he defeated the vessel the Royal Fortune and its captain Bartholomew Roberts. If you've ever watched the Johnny Depp film Pirates of the Caribbean, you will know that Bartholomew Roberts was the pirate who created the pirate code.
According to the code of the Brethren set down by the pirates Morgan and Bartholomew, you have to take me to your captain.
The defeat of Roberts marked the start of the end of the golden age of piracy, and Ogle gained knighthood for his services. He later became Admiral of the fleet, and he retired in London, where he died. The castle was recently put up for sale. I'm not sure if it still is for sale or not, but if you had a spare 2 million or so, you could have bought it. This is the little hamlet of Coupland, and we're hoping to cross the River Glen again. Now we come out at Yeavering, a small little hamlet, and we're heading right. Okay, this is a standing stone. The field recently being ploughed and planted, so try and be sensible about it and walk on the tracks of the tractor. This here is the Battle Stone. It's a prehistoric standing stone, but it gets its name from a victory by Robert Umfraville over the Scots in 1415. Keep bumping into the Umpravilles for Prudhoe. The stone is late Neolithic in origin, about 3000 BC. Sadly it's raining, so I've got an umbrella up to keep the camera dry. It's being concreted into the base though, which is a little bit sad. But if there was a problem with it falling over, I'm not going to see why. The field's being planted for potatoes. It's a fancy gate, isn't it? Welcome to Gefrin. Which was in that field. I'm going to have a look in a minute. As you can see, the battle stone was once part of a stone circle with the battle stone in the middle. Only the battle stone remains now. And there we have a little bit of the history of Gefrin. I'm not going to read it all. It's basically destroyed by fire twice, but eventually it was left to abandoned. This was once the site of Gefrin, which was an Anglo-Saxon palace for the kings of Northumbria. Can't really see anything at all on the ground. On some satellite images you can just make out where it was. But there is a picture of kind of what it looked like. It was like a great hall really, and it was where Paulinus came to convert the Northumbrians. It's where King Edwin used to live. It was like a great enclosure as well. So it says you are here, and here you can kind of see satellite images of where the hall used to be. So it's basically straight in front of me there. The palace was a large wooden hall that was partitioned into chambers where people lived. It was destroyed twice by fire, but both times was rebuilt. And eventually it was just deliberately demolished because they had no more use for it, basically. As I said, now it's just an empty field, really. It's more a case of trying to picture what used to be here than actually seeing stuff on the ground. Exit the palace from the other side of the field. It's just a short little path, and then we're going to go along here by these houses. So this place is Old Yeavering. There's our friend the goat again. Okay, here you have a choice. You can go Yeavering Bell that way, which is 3/4 of a mile, but that's a brutal climb up there. It's straight up almost. It is hard, but it is the shorter route. Or you can continue along the track and go around the back of Yeavering Bell, where it's much easier to climb, but it is a longer route. So the choice is yours, either straight up if you're feeling fit, shorter route, or take the long way and it's an easier way. We're going the long way. Sadly, that's true. We saw them when we were coming to Kirknewton. So, big hailstone shower. Yeavering Bell, by the way, gets its name. Yeavering means goat and Bell means hill. So it's Goat Hill. That's because wild goats live on it. There's the hailstone's getting bigger. I'm glad we've got an umbrella. It would have been absolutely painful as hell otherwise.
It does hurt.
I think we might have to give Yeavering Bell a miss today and head back to the car. Doesn't look like it's using any. Oh well. I'll come back and finish, pick up the walk, and then the magic of video editing. So there's the Hillfort Trail, St Cuthbert's Way. It goes along there to Yeavering Bell, goes around the back of Yeavering Bell, or you could take our shortcut I pointed out before. Okay, so this is where, more or less, where we left off last time. We got hit by hailstone and really torrential rain, and I had a foot injury, so we decided to call it off because you don't want to be climbing hills when there's the threat of lightning. And today couldn't be any more different. It's lovely blue skies, scorching weather. And our first task is to climb this one, which is Yeavering Bell. And basically, you're coming up this path here, which is St Cuthbert's Way. If you didn't go up the front way, that is, and you come up from behind. Now, when you get to this very interesting signpost, you take the detour off to Yeavering Bell, and then I've come along St Cuthbert's Way this morning, about 4.5 miles. I'm going back along the Grand Tour, which goes over the top of all these hills. As I said, this section is probably the toughest section of the Grand Tour. It's 14 and a half miles with lots of ups and downs. You should, if you're following my routes, you should be quite fit by the time you get to this point, so it shouldn't be too much of a trouble. But if you're just like dipping in and out, you might want to split it into two, like what I've just done now. So you do like the first part, which I do with my daughter, and then you do this part. That gives you 2 10-mile walks. So this is the outer wall of Yeavering Bell. I'm going to get a bit closer to one of these rocks. As you can see, the colour is pink, and the grey colour is just lichen that's on it. So once upon a time, this would have been a huge, big pink wall all the way around the hill. Glider Club is out in force again. The summit of Yeavering Bell. It's a little windy. There's a lot of flies on the summit. Some spectacular views here, like. The outer wall encloses 5.2 hectares and they've located the remains of at least 125 huts inside the outer walls. So the top of here was once upon a time almost a little town. I'm going to be heading this direction to this hill, the one behind it as well. I thought the whole point of gliders was that they were supposed to be quiet, but these things are bloody noisy. An old sheepfold. So in this vicinity there was a Iron Age circular hut, but I'm not really seeing anything. It was just a solitary one that was found. So we're climbing the top of this one, which is Whitelaw, which probably just looks like a bump on the camera, but actually it's really formidable. A little hill, but it looks quite mighty. It's a little bit difficult to tell. The map's kind of got this sheepfold as the ancient sheepfold, which is about 1,000 years old, and there should be two shearlings nearby which are about the same age. Over there you've got the remains of something, not sure what. Could be one of the shearlings. I'm tempted to go down and have a look. I think I'll have a look. Yeah, you've definitely got some kind of enclosure here. It looks like there was a road that went down there at one point, and then down here you've got like the remains of an old building which could be in one of the shearlings. See again here you've got like lots of remains of walls and stuff. Yeah, that's definitely the remains of a shearling there. A bit closer look there. So this is the remains of a shearling. It'll be about 1,000 years old. This is where the shepherds would have come and stayed during the summer months when they bring their flocks up onto the hills. There should be another one over there somewhere. Get back up on the path up there. It's pretty cool though, isn't it? Someone lived here 1,000 years ago. So this is the summit of Whitelaw. It's not a significant top, but bagged it in any case. So let's have a look at the views, because the views are really good from here. That's the Cheviot over there in the distance and a hedge up. Still some snow on the Cheviot. I'm nearly into June. There's Newton Tolls over there. There's Yeavering Bell where we've just been. Just looking down into the plateau of Northumberland. Down towards the castle. Across towards the sea. There's Waller hiding over there. So next we're going to be doing this hill and then the one behind it. Oh, sheepfold. Quite a complex one, isn't it? Multiple chambers. This gully here is called Gleed's Clough. this hill fort is Gleeds Clough Hill Fort. It's on the side of a Keld hill. That's the outer wall. Here's the inner wall. It's quite high, so you can get scale. That's about the height of me. Actually taller than me. And you got a third wall here. Which again is taller than me. And then this is the inside of the hill fort. And they found the remains of 9 huts here, but you can't really tell anything from the ground here. It's quite impressive, the walls. The way that it's built, it makes you think, was this always like this clough? Or did it come at a later date? There's a path across this ford of some sort. So this is where we leave the path. I'm going to follow this wall up a bit and then cut through that fence, continue up the top and then go up on the top of here, which is Hairhope Hill. This is very steep. You need to come this side of the fence, by the way. Outside the fence, it's just going to be a nightmare. You need this track. Because you never really get the steepness on the camera, but it's very steep. Our ancient ancestors weren't daft enough to go straight up like I am today. They wound their way down the hill and back up again. And it sank this groove into the hillside. So there's no gate, you're going to have to climb the fence. You're not going all the way up the top of there, you're going up the top of this one. So when you see that sheepfold over there, there's an easier path just a bit further down. I've come a little bit too far. This here's the top of Monday Clough, and it forms part of that holloway I was telling you about. And the holloway, that path, ancient path goes along there. So I'm about to walk on a... God, it's so windy. I'm not sure you're going to hear me. There. Put my back to the wind. So there I'm stood now on a path that's about 5,000 years old. How cool is that? I'm going to continue up the hill. So as you approach the sheepfold, you'll see the outer wall and the inner wall, and possibly another inner wall of an Iron Age hill fort. Some stone's been robbed to make this sheepfold. You can see the hill there. That's the second wall. And there's the inner wall over there. It's very windy. So this here's the inner wall. In this one you can see some of the remains of the roundhouses. Not as spectacular as some of the ones that we've already seen. In this one the vegetation has clearly marked out the outline of the roundhouse in a circle. It's quite a large one. This here looks like it was once the entrance into the hill fort. It's looking down into Monday Clough. Again, likely caused by meltwater from glaciers. Pretty impressive. We'll be doing that hill next over there. That's the last one. So we know that Hairhope Hill fort contained at least 3 roundhouses, probably more because it is quite a size, to be honest, but they've only found the remains of 3 of them. The main importance of this place is that ancient holloway. It's one of the few examples of an ancient holloway that we can link to that long ago, to be honest. So we know that this fort here is around about early Iron Age. So talking about, as I said, near 5,000 years old, possibly 4,000, give or take 1,000 years, yeah. Summit of Hairhope Hill, although I have to admit over there looks higher. Here's the views, that's looking over to Yeavering Bell in there. That's a curled hill. You got Yeavering Bell, and in front of it is White Law, and then a curled hill. We've done all of them. Look at that. That's important, that bit of road. We'll be talking about that in a minute. That's the bridging point of the River Glen. As you can see, that cairn isn't really on the top, is it? Hillforts just over there. Pretty amazing, isn't it? Makes it worth a while going up that hill. Not just to see the hill fort, but see these views, and there's a history lesson here as well. Okay, so the Battle of Humbleton Hill. Humbleton Hill is the name of Humbleton Hill, which is that one over there, which is where we're going next. And we're currently on Hairhope Hill. The Scottish decided to raid England in 1402. They decided to take advantage of a Welsh rebellion. They got down as far as Newcastle, and they were returning to Scotland with all their loot. And the Percys managed to gather a force of 12,000 men. The Scots, by the way, were 10,000 and were led by Douglas, Earl of Douglas. And that bridge I pointed out across the River Glen is where the Percys decided to stop the Scots getting back into Scotland. The Scots were taken unawares and they retreated to over there on the sides of Humbleton Hill. The English force consisted of 4,000 longbow archers who had recently had battle experience in Wales. The English archers set up their position just down here on Hairhope Hill. From there, they were able to reach over there. However, the Scottish archers, with their shorter bows, were unable to reach back. What resulted was an absolute massacre of the Scottish forces. They were stuck, they were trapped. They didn't want to give up the higher ground because there was a big English force waiting for them down there. And they were being hammered by the English longbowmen, who were just positioned, as I said, just down here. After taking many casualties, the Scots decided to try and charge the archers, which meant they had to cross this ground here. And all the time they were being hammered by the archers. And as they started to approach this position, all the archers did was retreat further up the hill and keep peppering them all the time. They didn't let up. It absolutely massacred the Scots. In desperation, they tried to make a move to the bridge, but by this time their force had been absolutely decimated. They didn't have enough men to take the bridge and they got routed. What happened then was that the Percys managed to capture the Earl of Douglas and several other prominent lords in Scotland.
Hotspur took Mordache, the Earl of Fife, the Earls of Atholl, of Murray, Angus and Monteith. Well, is not this an honourable spoil? A gallant prize.
Now normally these would have been ransomed and the Percys would have gotten a nice profit for it. However, the Lancastrian king, Henry IV, decided that he wanted the hostages and he ordered Percy to hand the hostages over. However, Henry IV did not compensate the Percys for the loss of their earnings from the battle.
Send me your prisoners by the speediest means, or you shall hear in such a kind for us as will displease you. My Lord Northumberland, we license your departure with your son. Send us your prisoners, or you will hear of it.
As a result, the following year, the Percys rebelled against Henry IV. It could be seen as setting the pieces on the board for the eventual War of the Roses, which was started really by the Percys and Neville families. And obviously the Percys were on the House of York side, because Henry IV stole the ransoms basically. As you can see, the ground's quite marshy here. Hundreds of Scots would have died just crossing this ground to try and gain that height. Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I'm convinced that the archers were on that ridge there. It's a natural line of defence. And they would have been hammering the Scots who would have been on here. You talk about 10,000 men, so they're not all going to fit on that little knoll, are they? They're going to be on this side here. I didn't think we were going to see them. There's the wild goats. Brilliant. Always nice to see the wild goats. Got one down there. I've got 3 or 4 up on the top there. Ah, there's some kids there. You see them crossing the wall. That's what the goat's getting upset about. You can see me, you can see the kids. Awesome. I need to try and somehow get across here. I'm not sure how. Amazing. I love seeing the wild goats. Makes my day. Oh, lovely to see the bluebells as well. So here are more or less where the Scots would have been. You can see where the English archers would have been. Very natural defences just across there. They would have just set up on there and just absolutely hammered the Scots. Very defensible position, difficult to get up there. This is the inner wall by the looks of it. The outer wall just behind it. This is the last hill and last hill fort today. Done quite a few today. It's windy. Summit's quite busy today. A lot of people picnicking on the top. There you can see the walls. hills looking down into Wooler. Give you a taste of the views. It's a popular hill, this one, like. So Humbleton Hill's most likely the oldest of the hill forts that we've seen today. It's late Neolithic, early Iron Age, and they've discovered at least 20 huts inside the inner ring and 8 huts in the enclosure, which is just down there. So we found 8 huts down there. The walls are really impressive. Obviously the landscape lends a lot to the defences. Now it's just a question of getting off this hill and down to Wooler Common, where I've parked the car. So here we are at Wooler Common, and thus ends section 29 of the Grand Tour of Northumberland. Okay, so how was section 29 of the Grand Tour of Northumberland? I will not lie, it was tough. If you were doing the full 14.5 miles in one go, you'll be on your knees by the time you finish it. But you should be fit enough by the time you get to this point of the Grand Tour. I have to admit, if Neil was with me, he probably would have been in a bit of a huff by the time we finished that last hill. But he would have managed it. I would have managed it if I'd done the full 14.5. As it was, I just did the 10 today, and we did 10 last time with my daughter. A lot of ups and downs, and I've done 5 hills today. They're not big hills, but a lot of steep ground to cover. The second last one, that one you're kind of like beating your way through the heather. Loads of interesting things on this section. We've done pirates, 19th century feminists, loads of hill forts. We've done like battles between the English and the Scots. It's been fantastic in terms of points of interest. There's a standing stone, an Anglo-Saxon palace. I mean, what more can you want in points of interest in history? It's just brim full of it. We'll be moving on into other parts of Northumberland now. This is like the last part of the Cheviot. We will still be doing some hill forts. There's still some more hill forts to do. And we'll still be doing some more standing stones and lots of castles to come. So if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to leave a comment below. Hit the subscribe button for the next adventure. Share with your friends on social media, and catch you on the next one.
Digging through a closet, walled cities, past lives in boxes. Music comes up till it's seen from my